welcome back. We are back in the kitchen again. We are going to prepare some fun things for the freezer. I want to prepare some pie crust, and it's holiday season coming up, and some pie filling for the freezer. We're gonna do it in a very unique way though. So the first thing we're gonna do is get the pie crust. Unfortunately, my chopper broke, and it's my fault. But I don't think it's broken. I think Ernie can fix it. I don't know, we'll see. It was $15. I think I got my $15 out of it. So if you haven't bought that one from Costco, don't. Also, I'm very heavy-handed. So Ernie kept saying, babe, you're gonna break it, you're gonna break it. I did. Anyways, so we're gonna have to do, and I can't find my apple core thingy. I don't know, I'll look again, but hopefully I can find it because that sucker is so easy when it comes to making apple pie. Otherwise, we're just gonna have to go old school, people. So right now we're gonna go ahead and get the crust done. I'm very excited for this because I've not done this before. It is not my idea. I got this idea from Becky. Many of you guys know who she is, Acre Homestead. And thank you to everybody that mentioned her. I've watched her since she first started her channel, actually. And it's been exciting to watch her grow. She's amazing. But this is her idea, and I don't know if it's her genuine idea or if an idea she got from somebody else. I don't care. I've been excited to try it since she shared it. I believe it was last holiday season. Could have even been the one before that. And I just haven't done it, but today we're gonna do it. So let's get started. Okay, so I have my easy pie crust recipe here. I'm gonna go ahead and get started. I have all my ingredients here. My butter, my ice water, my sugar, my salt, and my flour. We're gonna do one pie crust at a time. I'm using my Ninja. It has the dough attachment. I've never used this before for dough. This is my first time, praying it comes together. So we are going to add let's see, 2.5 cups of all-purpose flour. These are half-cup sizes. That's 2 cups and a half. Half tablespoon of granulated sugar, a half teaspoon of salt, and a ½ pound of cold unsalted butter. I've never used unsalted butter for my pie crust. I've never have. So I just want to share with you that if you don't have unsalted butter, don't stress out about it. So it's 2 sticks of butter per pie crust. I'm barefoot in the kitchen again. Now we're going to add the butter. Let's combine this really quick. Now it says to add the butter. In my experience with pie crust, the least amount of touching you can do to it, the better. It onto parchment paper. Cut it in half. Take some plastic wrap and wrap it up just like that. And now we have 2 pie crust ready for the freezer. Now, you can make little discs out of them, like flatten them into little discs, or you could do what I did, and I just take them out of the freezer, put them in the refrigerator and let them thaw, but they still stay really cold because you want the butter to stay really cold. Now we're gonna get to the apples, but I'm not gonna do that until another day, and but it'll be in the next clip for you guys. So I got that out of the way today. Another day I'll do the apples. Hey guys, it is a couple days later, a few days later actually. I got sick and I think it was just a combination of running myself too hard. I was exposed to a bug for sure. I definitely have a head cold. Ernie came home and I was able to get like a neck massage, which felt so good because I had been having a headache for several days and it was due to congestion that was building up, and so it felt so good to get that neck massage. And he used some medicated lotion on that, and it just felt so good. And I got some Sudafed this morning. I'm 2 doses in, so it's starting to clear up, but I'm still sounding funny and I look blue. But he just left to go watch the boys play football. I decided to not go. I've already exposed them enough as it is because I did go watch my grandkids before I started feeling really crappy. So hopefully they don't get whatever I had and hopefully they're resilient. But we made pie crust, and so that's wonderful. And today we're going to use one of those pie crust. I'm craving a really homey, yummy meal. So I'm going to make chicken pot pie with you guys using our pie crust that we made. I'm going to make two. I'm going to make one for the freezer, and I'm going to show you guys how I do that, or how I'm going to do that. I've never done it before. And I'm going to make one for dinner tonight. So I'm waiting for an Instacart order to come. I just so desperately want a cup of coffee. I had coffee with heavy cream this morning, and I want coffee with my Coffee Mate creamer because I just think that will be so good. But after I get this pie made, I have Sleepless in Seattle waiting for me on the TV. I'm going to enjoy a cup of coffee and wait for Ernie to get home, but I want to get this dinner made really quick, and I want to show you guys how I make my chicken pot pie. First thing I'm going to do is get my veggies prepped. I have some carrots and an onion here. We're not going to peel these. We're going to leave the peel on. I broke my chopper. I don't know if I told you guys that. So that's kind of a bummer. I'm very heavy-handed with it. And I like to do this in really small pieces. I like everything to be bite-sized. These are great for those of you where there's just 2 of you or 1 of you to make individual size chicken pot pies for the freezer. The ones in the store have way too much sodium. I have 4 chicken breasts that I'm using. These are still a little frozen. So I figured 2 per pie. Now I for sure like my chicken breast cut up really small, my meat cut up really small. That's, again, you do you, but I don't like big hunks of chicken. This knife is not gonna cut it. I want a sharper one. Ernie needs to sharpen all my knives again for me. But I like really small pieces of chicken in my chicken pot pie. I don't like big hunks of it. I'm gonna go ahead and get these 2 chicken breasts in the pan. I'm gonna add about 2 tablespoons of butter before I do that, and then we'll add the rest of the chicken when I'm done cutting it up. I'm gonna go ahead and get this seasoned up with some salt, pepper, garlic powder, and some thyme. You guys just use whatever seasonings that you want. Just think chicken pot pie and homemade. And get that all cooked. And then I'm gonna remove the meat from the pan, and I'm going to add the veggies. I'm gonna cook those down. I should have done it opposite, but I wasn't feeling 100%, so everything was kind of crazy on this day, but I definitely wanted to eat something yummy. So Anyway, so gonna go ahead and cook this, get it out of the pan, get my veggies, and then you're gonna see that I end up overfilling this pan, and so I need to switch it over to a pot. But I always season every layer as well when I'm cooking, just so you know. So I season the meat, and now I'm seasoning the veggies. I don't overdo it as far as like salt or anything goes. I just add a little bit to each, so whatever the total amount of salt would be for the whole dish, I use a little bit of that for each layer. I just like to make sure each layer is completely seasoned. So I start to add the meat back, and I'm like, oh gosh, it's getting full, but I'm adding some flour because we're going to thicken this up. And you want to just stir this around until the flour is gone and cooked, so you can't see any more white flour. Then we're going to add some frozen peas. I added about a cup of frozen peas and a cup of frozen corn to it. And this is about when I was like, okay, I can't stir it. We're going to need to transfer this over to a pot. So we're going to do that now. And I just should have started here. I also add some heavy cream and some milk to this, and I don't add quite enough. When I was pouring this into the pie pan, I was like, Anna, you should have made this a lot creamier. So just so you know, I added barely any. It should be a lot creamier than this. So just do it until, you know, because there's plenty of flour in there to thicken it up. So just add enough. I probably should have added at least a half cup of each. To get a real nice creamy consistency. So once that was done, because everything's cooked, once everything was heated through, I went ahead and just lined a pie pan with parchment paper. I'm going to go ahead and fill that in. I'm going to press it along the sides, and I'm going to freeze it exactly like this. And then once it's frozen solid, I'm going to vacuum seal it. Now all I have to do is roll out some pie dough, take that out of the freezer, put it in my pie crust, and bake it, and we have a chicken pot pie. So unfortunately, I don't have a rolling pin. They're both at the apartment. Both of my rolling pins are at the apartment. I have no way of rolling my pie dough out. So I'm just gonna form it with my hands, but it was frozen. I think I can, I don't know. I'm gonna get a piece of, I'm gonna get some, oh, we're crooked. I'm gonna get parchment paper, like 2 pieces, and sandwich it and kind of press it out. I just wanna show you where there's a will, there's a way, you guys. Where there's a will, there's a way. This recipe for the pie dough was so flaky and buttery. Ernie was so excited when he tasted the pot pie. He said this would be really good in an apple pie, which we're going to get to here in a minute. This is kind of a long video because I'm taking you guys along for a few days in the kitchen. But I did my best to get this pushed into the pie pan. I had bought disposable pie pans because I'm going to be making some pie fillings to freeze in the freezer, and I didn't want to buy a bunch of pie plates, so I bought the disposable kind, which I'll keep and continue to reuse for this type of project in the kitchen. But I did a good job. I got it pressed in. And then you're going to see my very creative way of getting the top one done. Yeah, this should have been a lot creamier, just FYI. So don't do what Anna did. Definitely make sure that you make a nice creamy inside of your chicken pot pie, because that's the best part of it all. So, yeah, it was still very delicious, but it could have been a lot creamier. So I just went over and got a glass mason jar and said just use that. I remember when I first got married, making pie crust, I would use an actual cup to roll out my dough. So it kind of brought back memories of fond memories of when I was first married. So anyways, we got that. It's just, without a rolling pin, you don't get it as thin as you'd like it, and and all of that. But hey, it was delicious. It looked good. It looked okay, and Ernie liked it. The individual for sure is something that would be better for us after making this, because I can't eat a whole pie by myself. You know what I'm saying? So I was making this on Saturday. Ernie and I had it, and then and then it sat in the fridge because nobody ate it. So, and I didn't want to give it to my neighbor because I had been sick. So I definitely will be making the individual size ones for the freezer. It just makes more sense for us. It was delicious though, you guys, and this crust is so good. I made us a side salad to go along with it, and it was a really delicious dinner. Hearty and healthy and delicious. Everything from scratch. Can't beat that. Okay, it was the next day, and I wanted to get a tri-tip in the crock pot for the day. We were going to be running some errands, so I wanted dinner cooking while I was gone. I also planned on making an apple pie on this day. A nice hearty dinner, a nice fall dinner for us. So tri-tip, some mashed potatoes, some broccoli that I had put up in the freezer. Didn't have to go to the store for anything, and that was fabulous. I'm just seasoning it with salt, pepper, garlic powder, onion powder, and some Lowry's. I put an onion in there and a few cloves of garlic and some water. Put the lid on it, put it on low for 8 hours, and just let it do its thing. I love crock pot meals. Sometimes I just use Lipton onion soup mix, but I didn't have any of that. Didn't need any of that. Because this was just perfect. The broth makes such a beautiful gravy, so I always like to consider that when I'm seasoning, because I was going to make an onion gravy to go over the mashed potatoes and the meat, so I always like to consider the seasonings when I'm, thinking about that. But anyways, Lipton onion soup mix is fabulous. It just has a lot of sodium in it. Oh, I use Worcestershire sauce too for the worst word in the world's name. Worcester. I have the hardest time saying it. I think everybody does. Anyways, got that going, and then I had some housework that I needed to catch up on because I had been sick. So this was really the first big cooking day for me since being sick. So I needed to get that done. I had kept up on it. I was washing it and drying it, but I was not folding it and putting it away. So I had a lot of laundry to get put up. And just stuff everywhere that needed to be put up. You know how it is when you're sick. I wasn't down and out, like in bed, except for Friday. Friday was, that was a tough day. But I started feeling better, not great, but better the day after. So on Saturday, and then, just better and better each day. So I was keeping up on things because the last thing I wanted was to feel good and have a complete disaster of a house or mounds of laundry. So I was at least washing and drying it, and I knew that I would get around to folding it, and I knew that I needed to get my bed sheets washed. I wanted to get all my bedding washed on this day because I like to do that after, somebody's been sick. And just get a nice tidy up in the bedroom. It was super dusty, so I needed to get that done. But just tidying up around the house. The kitchen was pretty much a disaster because I had been cooking and baking. So, and I do clean as I go when I cook and I bake because I don't like to have a huge mess when I'm done. So it wasn't super bad, but you know how it is. It's just one final clean is always good. And then of course, I'm going to mess it up again because I'm going to do some more baking and some more cooking. But it's a working kitchen, guys. I have a working kitchen here. It's pretty, but it's a working kitchen. So I'm just going to get the dishwasher unloaded so that I can continue to load it. Anytime I start my day off, I always like to make sure the dishwasher is empty so that I can load it throughout the day. Sometimes on big cooking days like today, I end up doing 2 loads in the dishwasher and even some things by hand, just because it makes my life easier. And so I like to always start off by unloading before I get, really into the cooking and the baking part of it. But yeah, the house wasn't horrible, but it was definite need of some attention. And then I had bought all those bags of apples because I plan on doing all my apple baking, muffins and breads and all that kind of stuff. Not on this day, but I was going to make an apple pie on this day. But so I had all my apples. I wanted to get those put into bowls because it always looks pretty to have bowls of apples in your kitchen, especially this time of year. So I wanted to do that and just kind of have a fresh start. And then I have some laundry to toss in, which is my sheets. You're not going to see me undo my bed. I didn't strip it on camera, and I didn't make it on camera. Well, first of all, I didn't make it. Ernie did. While I was cooking dinner on this evening, he was straightening out the family room. He made the bed. He was transferring the sheets to the dryer. The blankets, I got the blankets put in and everything. So he ended up making the bed for me on this day, which is always nice. 2 meals always make the job go by quicker. So I wanted to get that started, and then I needed to fill up my 2 containers because I keep these big things in the cleaning closet, and I keep just the little glass ones in my laundry room up on the shelf, so I need to get those filled up. But I had a mountain of laundry in my bedroom that I just kept throwing on that sofa. That sofa is a great idea. It looks great in there, but it's a catch-all. I got to stay on top of it because it's really easy to just bring things in there and say, oh, I'm just going to set it here for a minute, But it came in handy while I was sick because I could just wash and dry a load and throw it on there. And I knew that I was going to have to contend with that when I was feeling better. But here it is. But I get it done. I get it all done. I leave the blankets and stuff on the floor because I was in the middle of washing. But it was really nice, actually, when I was feeling 100% to know that I had no laundry to do. That was really nice because usually laundry is the one thing that you don't keep up on when you're not feeling good. And I have this toxic trait where I have to stay busy. Otherwise, I'm lazy. And I get it. I'm sick, right? When you're sick, but I can't rest when I'm sick. I'm not the kind of person, unless my body just doesn't let me out of bed. But if I'm able to get up and move, I will get up and move even when I'm sick. I have to. So that's why I was able to do laundry. I just can't lay around all day. Friday was tough for me. Yeah, it was really tough. But like I said, my body wasn't letting me get up and do anything, and that's the only time that I'll rest. Other than that, I will move and groove and get things done. Maybe at a slow pace. I've got this on, hyper speed here, but I was certainly not moving this quick. I promise you that. But I was getting everything done, and Ernie kept telling me, hey, you just started feeling better, sit down. And I'm like, I needed to get our room dusted because, when I was laying there on Friday, I was like, oh God, this room is so dusty. So anyways, after I got this done, we took off to go run some errands, and I came home and I immediately got a bread going in my bread maker. My son got me this years ago. Oh my gosh, how many years ago? 2004? 20 years ago? I don't know. This is an old bread machine. I love it. And I wanted to get some bread made for dinner. Unfortunately, I didn't get it in the machine quick enough so that we could have it with our dinner. But we did have it this morning for French toast. So it's delicious. I made a whole wheat bread. In my thing. I'll put the recipe down below that I used. It's really good. But I wanted to get it done for dinner, and I made Ernie wait as long as possible. We ended up eating dinner after 7 p.m. on this night. which is fine because when we were out running errands, we stopped and split a sandwich. So we had a good lunch, but anyways, we ended up not having this bread with our dinner, which was my plan, but you know, lesson learned. But after I got this going, which I love a bread. If you don't have a bread machine, there's two kinds of breads I like to make. I love to use my bread machine, but I also like to use my cast iron pot. The rustic breads, I like to do that too, but I just wasn't in the mood to do that kind of a bread. It's just, when you want homemade bread, quick and easy, your bread machine is your best friend. So I'm going to be doing a lot of this. It just makes sense for me because I'm usually here by myself, or it's just Ernie and I. And so making a loaf of bread for home just makes more sense than buying it and letting it go stale, you know, or moldy. Because it makes a smaller loaf. So now I'm moving on to making an apple pie. This recipe is equal to 1 can of pie filling. And it says to use 4 apples. I used 5. And I think it was like medium because there was a couple small ones in my batch. So I used 5. And I'm just going to get those peeled and sliced up. And then we're going to take them over to the stove. I'm going to melt some butter and cinnamon. I'm going to add my, this is not my recipe, by the way. I'm going to add the apples to that and sugar and just stir them around and let them cook. And while this was going on, I was letting a couple of pie crusts that I had made defrost. So they were sitting out on the counter defrosting. Ernie had brought me home my rolling pins by this time, so I had rolling pins. When he left for Florida on Sunday and turned around and evacuated on Monday. So he's home, and he was able to bring me my rolling pins. I said, hey, if you're stopping by the apartment before you leave the job site, can you grab those rolling pins for me? So I have those, so you'll be able to see that I have them when I'm rolling out my dough here. But yeah, we're just going to get the butter melted. They're going to add the cinnamon, the apples, then the sugar, and we're just going to cook that down. And I like to cook the apples until they're soft but not mushy. I did overcook them a tad because we've been watching Ryan Hall was on, and we were watching his updates on the Hurricane Milton. So I got kind of sidetracked with that, but oh my gosh, this pie turned out so good. I usually mix apples when I make apple pie. I used all 5 Granny Smith, and I didn't mean to do that. I actually meant to do like 3 Granny Smith and 2 of the red, and that's what I like to do. I just like to mix apples because the Granny Smith is sour, and then I like the sweetness of the red apples. So this was, it was delicious, you know, and most pie recipes call for Granny Smith, but I like to add some red apples because it just adds a little, you know, a little punch of different type of sweet other than the sugar, you know, you got from the apple. But oh, this pie was so good. So we're just going to get the pie crust rolled out. And when it was all done, Ernie said, wow, babe, it looks like a pie you bought at the store. And I was like, well, I don't know if that's a compliment or not. But it was really good. It turned out great. I didn't think that there was enough apple filling when I made it. I was like, gosh, this just doesn't seem like enough, you know. And because I was following recipes because I knew I was going to share with you guys, and it's just easier for me instead of using something that I would do, because I don't share recipes with you guys. And I thought, well, this time around I'm going to share as many recipes as I can. So I'm using other people's recipes. That way I can just link them for you. But I'm filming it so I can show you how easy it is, you know, or for me at least it's easy. But anyways, I got my pie filling in there, and I thought, gosh, it just doesn't seem like enough. Oh, it was perfect. It was absolutely perfect. Getting my second pie crust rolled out. We're going to get that laid on top. We're going to trim it. We're going to close it up, and we're going to get it put in the oven. And then I'm going to do some dishes because that's what I like to do. I like to make sure that the dishes stay done. I don't know. I'm just that kind of person when I'm cooking. When I'm done eating and enjoying my meal and having my dessert, I don't want to have a huge mess to clean up. So I try and stay on top of the kitchen the entire time I'm in there. And that sometimes means doing dishes multiple times. I can't pile the dishes up. I know there's a lot of people who keep their counters clean and they just fill the sink up, and I can't do that. I can't look at a sink full of dishes, which is why I like to have the dishwasher empty before I start, because it's easier for the things that can go in the dishwasher to just rinse them and toss them in, unless it's full and you have to wash things by hand, or there's certain things that, I can't wash or put in the dishwasher, like my cutting board that my son made me. This is one of them here when he was in high school. And so I treasure that. So I wash it by hand when I use it. Yeah. And so what you didn't get to see me do is peel some potatoes off camera, because I was going to make the mashed potatoes. So I got some potatoes peeled, and we're going to get those put on the stove. I just really wanted a nice fall dinner, and a roast with mashed potatoes and a green vegetable, and some good bread and gravy, and some pie afterwards. To me, is just a really hearty fall dinner, cozy dinner. And we are definitely in the fall temps. We are in the 40s at night, and next week actually we have a couple of nights in the 30s. So we are definitely in the fall temps already. So we're going to get these potatoes boiling, and then I'm going to give you a look at that tri-tip. It is looking really good. Really good. And this is the meat that we got from the local butcher. And that gravy, it was delicious, because this is not greasy at all. It's a little bit of oil on it, to be expected, but it was delicious. So now I'm going to get my potatoes pulled out. I like to get my potatoes pulled out of the water. I save the water, especially if I'm still waiting to do other things. To keep my potatoes warm, I usually will make them in this still bowl here, which I got at IKEA. Some butter, some milk, some salt, some pepper, and then I will take that bowl and place it on top of the hot water and cover it with foil, and the steam from the hot water will keep that bowl of mashed potatoes nice and warm until we're ready to eat. So then I was going to turn my attention to the gravy, and gravy is super easy to make. If you're somebody who doesn't know how to make gravy, I always add butter and flour to make a roux. It's equal parts. I eyeball it, so 2 tablespoons of butter to 2 tablespoons of flour. And I like to cook my flour to a caramel color, because that's the color I want to make sure my gravy is when I'm serving it with beef. I don't like light gravies, I like dark gravies. So I like to cook my butter till it's tan. And then I had already pulled out some liquid from the roast. So we're going to go ahead and dump that in a little bit at a time. And I continue to whisk it. I don't stop whisking it. I just whisk, whisk, whisk. And then usually I'll ask Ernie to come over and taste it. I had him grab a piece of sourdough bread out of the pantry and give it a taste for salt, and he said it was perfect. So then I'm going to get my broccoli put into a rice strainer on top of some boiling water, and kind of a steamer situation. My stove is filthy because I'd been cooking for 3 days, and and I hadn't been keeping up on it, the stove part of it anyways. I'm going to get the broccoli put in there because I was going to steam it, and then I just put the lid for the pan on top of that and let that steam. And then it was time to pull my apple pie out of the oven, and look how beautiful it is. This was just perfect. Just perfect. Look at her. She's gorgeous. I put an egg wash on there. I didn't show that part, but she was delicious. I might go have a piece after I'm done editing this video. Delicious. The pie crust is amazing, buttery and flaky. So now I'm going to go ahead and put some beef. I pulled a piece out. I'm going to go ahead and shred that up. Put it on the plate, serve it with some mashed potatoes, some gravy, some broccoli. And then I'm going to show you cutting the bread that we didn't get to eat with our meal because it was ready after we were done eating, which is a major bummer. But this dinner was so good. You guys have to let me know in the comments if this is a go-to, like, fall, winter meal. It's, I mean, very, you know, Sunday dinner, but very old-fashioned meal here, and I love it. It's one of our favorites here in my house. I was going to get green beans, and Ernie said, but we have broccoli in the freezer, and I said, you're right. So I ended up tossing that with some butter, some salt and pepper in the pan. And then I'm going to go ahead and get the bread sliced up. I'm going to serve Ernie and I some apple pie for dessert a little later in the evening. I capture that on camera for y'all. But I want to thank you guys so much for staying till the end. I missed you guys. I know it's a long video, but I was just catching you up on what's been going on in my kitchen over the last few days because I haven't seen you guys in a minute. And I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. I appreciate you guys for staying till the end, and we will see you in the next video. Bye, guys.